You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Yeah, man.
It's officially recording. Welcome to Reza Riffs.
Yeah. How's everyone doing
with my one and only Alan Lee. How are you?
How are you, Keith? Man, I'm excellent. I'm really fantastic, actually.
Are you enjoying the Zoom interviews? They're turning out to be pretty good.
You know what? As far as I'm concerned, I could do this. It doesn't matter. I prefer this. Now, I tell you, I would like eventually for people to see us, like Rogan, and I know you shy away from having people see us physically, but I don't think, in my opinion, I think they should they should see your ass and my ass, and not just our voices. But I don't give a shit.
Right.
You know, I'm your sidekick. You know, I mean, it's up to you. You know, if you want to be hidden, incognito, hey, bro, I'm with you.
Okay, so Ross just emailed me.
What do you say?
He said, send me a link. So I'm going to email him the link.
I would do that. God, I thought he's canceled.
Well, why would he cancel, man?
Just fucking with you.
Yeah, don't do that to me.
No, come on.
Yeah.
Text him. Don't.
Hold on 1 second, pal. I forgot about these damn emails. Okay, I just sent it to him. It should have went through. Ross Patterson's gonna come in and riff with us. I just sent it to him. I hope it went through. Emails, man. For the listeners, subscribe, rate, and review to Raise the Riffs on Apple Podcasts. Right? Right, Alan?
Yeah, and go in and write a review.
Yeah. Alan, do a little talkie to the guests while I make sure this went through, okay?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, hey, everyone out there, you know, Reza Riffs has been talked about by a lot of comics here in Los Angeles, and even our competitors. I'm not gonna name them, but they know who they are. They're a little jealous,
right?
And I have to be careful when I go to these clubs. You know, they go,
So,
"You're Alan."
Ross just said, "Give him 5 minutes." So this is a perfect time for Alan Lee to talk.
Yeah, man. Everyone out there is struggling with the corona. Keith is, and you know, we acknowledge that. I hope you guys are staying safe.
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt you, but our good friend of the show, Jeff Crone, says, "Hi, Alan Lee."
Hey, Jeff Crone, how you doing, man? I don't get enough time to talk to you guys or really text you and all of that. You know, I'm sometimes sort of like passed out and shit, and so, but I acknowledge. I immediately you said Jeff Crone, bam. He's very supportive. I really appreciate it, Jeff. And sometimes, you know, maybe we'll hang out at one of the clubs there with Keith.
Jeff is a good supporter of me. I think he's the only one who likes all my statuses. I love him very much.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, I don't want to trump my friend Keith, but I tell you something. I'll tell you, Jeff, if you want to be a producer of the show,
what?
You
we do need a producer. I'm running out of contacts.
Yeah, really, just send your resume to Keith. Text it.
Oh my God. I'm like about to re-text everyone, be like, "Hey, you want to do it again?" But no, it's really hard getting interviews right now with this whole COVID stuff, you know, like, because usually we would go to the club and ask the comic or whoever, you know, so that made it a lot easier. But right now it's a little tough, you know, because no one's working. I got a haircut today. Did you notice?
You know what? Excuse me for not noticing right off the bat. I knew this would be different. Very attractive. Looking good.
And I shaved my beard.
Yeah, you know what? That's weird because I'm so used to looking at you like this since the day we met. that I mean, it's not that I thought the beard was cool, but I mean, look at me, I still got this weird mustache.
It looks cool, man. The weird mustache looks cool.
I appreciate that because some of the Mexican girls at the Mexican mart down the street where I get my food like 80% off. I go to Ralph's. So sometimes Ralph's is kind of chicken shit with their prices, and so I can get a roast. I can get everything says 30-40% off, and so they kind of they start talking Spanish to me and shit,
Yeah.
Because they don't know, and then I say, hey, speak fucking English. God, it freaks them out, bro.
Wait, yeah, dude. What was I gonna say?
You were gonna talk about Danny Trejo.
Oh my God, Ross is good friends with Danny Trejo. Did you know that?
I want to listen. I really, I'm actually a fan of Trejo, and my friend who was an alcoholic.
You look like Danny Trejo.
No, you know what? That's taking it. Well, I'll take it as a compliment. I mean, Danny.
You don't think you look like him?
I do. I could just be his twin brother.
Yeah.
Now
you could be a stunt double.
Listen. No, I'm taller than him. I am.
I loved you in Con Air. I'm a huge John Cusack fan, so I only seen you in Con Air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he was also in Breaking Bad. Did you know that?
Yeah, he got his head. You said a spoiler. I won't say it.
Yeah.
Something very bad happens to Danny.
In Breaking Bad.
No spoilers. I hate to be accused of giving people spoilers, because I hate it when they do that to me.
I don't know if this episode's going to be released in time, but I got my first stand-up gig in a couple weeks at Fresno.
Wow! Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So
you seem to have a karma where you go up there like Northern California.
Yeah, I know. So I'm hoping that it's good and it doesn't get canceled because I gotta tell you, man, I haven't done stand-up in 6 months. So I'm feeling kind of rusty,
Nah, it's like riding a bicycle.
It's like riding a bicycle?
Yeah, you never forget once you've done it. You might be a little bit, wobbly on the bicycle, but then, it picks up speed. You level out and you're riding the bike just like when you were 10, 11.
Yeah. So Ross said 5 minutes. I hope it's because I don't know if he knows, but Zoom, we only have like 30 minutes. That's the one thing I don't like about Zoom. I think I need to go all out and pay the $13 to have the full hour,
Mm-hmm.
But I like your glasses, man.
Yeah, these are not a new look. They're my standard, black framed that I like. So I have some red frames now, white frames, aqua frames, and I've got a classic Elvis frame that I'm going to start wearing. And,
classic Elvis frame?
Yeah.
Hey, look what I found today while cleaning out my room. The folks at home listening can't see this, but the folks at home watching can see this.
Oh, shit. Is that a gun?
No.
Oh.
It's my mic stand. My very first comedy mic stand. Do you remember Centerfields?
I love Centerfields.
This was the mic stand that we used, man.
Oh, wow. That's cute. It's like nostalgia. I'm getting I'm starting to tear up. Like my eyes are getting all watery.
Yeah, I've been practicing jokes with it in my room for Fresno because I want to be sharp.
Yeah, are you gonna take it with you the stand to Fresno like as kind of like old school like back in the day?
Maybe
take it up on stage.
I can. Yeah, maybe
talk about it. You can say, hey, this is and you headlined. Remember how you had the sign out in front of Centerfield? You took a photo of it.
Yeah.
Reza. Remember that?
It's called Keith Reza Comedy Night.
Yeah, but you were like on.
It was every Monday.
Yeah, I know. I was there. If you remember.
Yeah, you were there a lot.
Listen, I had. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be car friendly.
You headlined it.
That's correct. That's very sweet of you to say. That's a
you headlined Centerfield, Alan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like, come on, man. You got to give yourself more credit. Just because you do stand-up once a year doesn't mean you're not a stand-up. Like, come on. Dude, you closed Centerfield like the bitch that it was, man. I remember.
Yeah. Remember how we had
standing ovation from the bartender.
Yes, I did, and I'll tell you something else. We had to handle the pool, the people playing pool.
Hey, Ross
while
is here. We should let him in.
Yeah, sure.
We'll let Ross in. I think Ross is connecting. Ross Patterson's in, man. I just can't see him.
I don't see him. I don't see him. So I don't think.
Well, he's zooming from Texas.
Yeah, that's a big state.
It is a big state. I'm actually thinking about moving to Texas.
Yeah.
You should come with me. Oh, I hear Ross. I don't see Ross.
You can't see me?
No, but how are you, Ross?
I'm good. How are you doing? Yeah, usually my head pops up in a box.
Oh,
I
no.
find myself.
I don't see you. Now your mic's off. Now your mic's back on.
Mic's back on. There is no picture, and I'm looking right at it. Fucking Zoom, dude.
Hey, it's cool though. As long as we could hear you, that's all that matters, right?
Is it? Is it a video show? Do you guys do video shows?
No.
This one,
we promote the audio, but whatever.
Fuck me, man. How is this not working? Hang on.
I'm sure you're a good-looking guy, but I like the ladies.
Yeah, of course, of course. Let me. I'd say what I'm in the studio today. Let me ask my podcast engineer to
cool.
turn on this video. Are you capturing video?
yeah.
No, we're not recording the video. We just
Oh.
the audio. That's what I was.
All right. Well, fuck you then. You don't deserve to see me. Let's go.
Hey, but can you see me and Alan Lee?
Yes, I can see both you guys. You're totally good to go.
Oh, that's all that matters, man.
Yeah.
So Ross, I don't know if you know this, but your podcast is called Ross Patterson Revolution, and I don't know if you know this, but the new guy was made by Revolution Studios. Did you know that?
I did know that. That is not why I decided to name it that, though. However, that'd be a little fucked up, man. If I'm just going from my first childhood movie to oh hey, let's keep that going for 20 years and see how long I can take this ride with the new guy. No, to be honest with you, man, I'm a gigantic Prince fan. And when I started the podcast right after he died, and I was like, well, shit, I might as well call it the Revolution. I think Joe Rogan had named his the Joe Rogan Experience because of Hendrix. Therefore, I was like, all right, well, fuck it. Prince just died. Let's do Prince. I love Prince.
Did you do Drinking Buddies before you started Revolution?
Yeah, so we did Drinking Bros in 2015, right around Thanksgiving. And, it was one of those things where I could see the media landscape change in film, where, I owned a production company and they just weren't making as many comedies anymore at all. I could tell the environment was getting censored and everything was getting super PC. And I was trying to find the next shift in medium for comedians, and podcasts were just kind of starting to become a thing then. People weren't making a lot of money at it, but at least comedically you could get your voice out there to a bunch of people, I thought. And that's exactly what happened. And then, I didn't know it would turn into a massive business, and that enabled the spinoff of Ross Patterson Revolution, which is hosted with my wife, Jessie Wiseman, who's also an actress. And then she has a spinoff of Drinking Bros, which is an all-female show called Drinking Broettes. And all three of those have been extremely successful. And, it was kind of luck, and then kind of having the foresight back in 2015 to see that this was going to be the next medium. Because right now, fuck, man, everything is censored and it sucks in comedy right now.
Yeah. Do you ever get scared on because you started your podcast in 2015. I wouldn't say you were the first podcast, but you're definitely in when it got before it blew up. You know what I mean? So you're also a pioneer in that way. Are you scared on the stuff you say? Maybe it'll come back to haunt you?
Yeah, and even more so now, not with what I've said personally, whatever I've said or my friends have said, that's their own voice, and that's how they were thinking and or feeling. I think the gold standard in podcasting is currently Joe Rogan, and with him signing that Spotify deal, I thought it was to get away from censorship on YouTube, because a lot of our videos on YouTube, podcast-wise, are censored. We had Alex Jones on our show right after he was on Rogan's, and it stopped at 100,000. YouTube cut the video at 100,000 views. Yeah, and so they also shut down the channel, like not shut it down, but they stopped allowing subscribers for about 4 to 5 months on it after we had Alex Jones on. Now, our bread and butter is in audio, so it didn't really matter. Video was just kind of secondary for us of like, hey, man, let's get the show out there to more people. The quality's improved, as far as like HD and all that shit. So I think it is more fun to go back and watch podcasts now, so it's a big deal. But, with the censorship thing, when he went to Spotify, 43 of his episodes have been taken down, and even he didn't conquer that. So, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I thought the Spotify deal was a game changer, and then it seems like he's kind of back in the same thing with YouTube on the censorship.
I have a feeling a reason why they're taking away a lot of Rogan episodes is because a lot of comics right now are getting accused of inappropriate things and Me Too and stuff, and some of them are Rogan's good buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, one of them is his best friend, Brian Callen, who I've done a few movies with, and I've cast him in some of mine. I'm a big fan of his, and I know that those allegations against Callen are false. I've known Callen for 20 years, and I think Hollywood has a tendency to kind of eat its own and not look after your friends, so to speak. And so I hit him up the next day, and I said, hey, man, I've known you for 20 years, like off and on, and this is not the guy that I fucking know, and I just want you to know that I believe you. And if you want to come on Drinking Bros or Ross Patterson Revolution and share your story, man, I will have you on the show tomorrow if you want. Right. And you can tell your side of the story. I'm not going to abandon you, and I think that's important. I'm just curious as to why Joe didn't in some of these instances.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a mystery too. But I think I think everyone has secrets, so I think maybe he's scared of his secrets. You know what I mean?
Maybe. And look, to a certain extent, we all do, man. I mean, Hollywood used to be fucking crazy back in the day. And that's why a lot of people got into it, and it was fun. But it was pre-cell phone. It was pre-Trump. It was pre the cancel culture bullshit. And everybody did fucking crazy shit, threesomes, drugs, you name it. And it was like, that's why you came to Hollywood, baby. That's showbiz. And that's what was fun about it. And, for people to come back 22 years later in Callen's case with a story about rape or whatever, it's like, not that I'm not sympathetic and not that I don't believe all women, but if something like that was that traumatic that happened to you, go and report it to the police. Right. Don't wait until somebody gets super famous and then 22 years later pop up with a story, 3 weeks after one of his best friends, Chris D'Elia, gets popped. Like, it makes you harder to believe, I guess. But yeah, look, if you dig, long enough, you're going to find skeletons in everybody's closet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. And that kind of scares me, because once someone finds out I'm good friends with Andy Dick, I think my career is done.
Yeah. Is that true? You're friends with Andy?
Yeah.
So, like, dude, I got a funny story about Andy. Like, dude, I met him probably 2 or 3 years into living in LA. He was friends with my agents at the time, and they actually lived next door. And he grabbed my buddy's dick at a party at the house, right? But it was in a really funny way. Like, there was like a piece of art on the wall that my buddy was looking at, and he was like, "Oh, what's this?" And Andy Dick just walks over and he goes, "Oh, what do you think of that artist or whatever?" And he's like, "I don't really know much about art." And then he just grabbed his cock. Was it sexual? Was it comedic? Who knows? But like, you laughed it off. You moved on with your life, and like, no harm, no foul. Like, to me, shit like that's hilarious, and I don't give a fuck, but other people do, and it is what it is.
Yeah, when the allegations on Andy came out, I was just like, dude, Andy does that to everybody. He's done that to me and Alan. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. He's done it to everyone. Again, it's one of those things of it was a different time too, where look, I always find male nudity and shit like that fucking hilarious, but
Yeah.
other people don't. And, it is what it is. I can personally say I'm glad that I'm not a new comic like yourself, like coming up right now, trying to make it, because I don't know how to navigate those waters of, hey man, I'm a new comic, I want to do edgy material and that type of shit. Like, everybody knows me in my movies at this point, I think, or my books at least. Like, I mean, shit, the last one was #1 in the world, for Christ's sakes, and like, they're disgusting. And it's like, I've established myself as a dirtbag for close to 20 years. Like, you shouldn't be shocked about anything I'm doing now. But if I was brand new on the scene coming out with this shit, it would be shocking. And I don't know that I would have the career that I've had, to be honest with you.
Now, I wanted to talk about your career for a second, because I feel like you and I kind of bond just in a way that how you started doing comedy. I started it like that. You bought fake ID to do comedy at a comedy club, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's not something a lot of comics do, especially when they're younger. You know what I mean? So I wanted to see your vibe on that. Like, what inspired you to do that?
Well, I think if you have an overwhelming love for something and a passion for something at such an early age, like mine was 16 when I started doing it, stand up, like, nothing will stop you. You know, nothing should stop you. And it was like, I lied to my parents and snuck off to this fucking open mic competition where you could win, $100 or whatever it was at the time. And nothing was going to stop me, because that's what I loved. And that's what I wanted to do the rest of my life, was do comedy. And if you recognize it when it's happening, at whatever age it is, like, whatever you do in this life, you should be passionate enough that it should overwhelm you and just force you to go do it at any cost. Mine was at the cost of getting a fake ID and then going to downtown Atlanta, which, for a white kid going to downtown Atlanta at night, it isn't the safest goddamn thing in the world either. You know what I'm saying? Like, Atlanta's is cleaned up, since, but it wasn't the greatest city to go downtown on as a white kid at 16 years old. Like, in a beige Ford Tempo, with beige interior. So it's one of those things where, clearly I love it. I still love it to this day. And that same passion has never gone anywhere. Therefore, I've been willing to take the risks that I've taken, I guess, my entire career. So
when I bought my fake ID and I went to the club, like, the club bouncer just looked at me and I was like, it's pretty good for 130 pounds, huh?
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious, dude. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what was it like working with Ed Decter on it? Because I think he's one of the best comic writers ever, but he's only directed one movie, the movie you were in, and he hasn't done anything since. So I'm thinking maybe he was a tough director or something.
No, man, it was actually the opposite. Ed was the nicest guy in the world, and I think to be a massive Hollywood director, you almost need to be an asshole.
Right.
And it's a tough gig, especially when it's a studio. Like, when it's the studio's money, man, and they're throwing millions of dollars around, you've got to play ball and do what they say. And only when you're to the level of like a Scorsese where you can fight back on certain things. And, I think, because Ed was a writer. Ed was a really great writer. He still is.
Yeah.
And I think after that, the pressure and everything else, of making that movie on a studio scale, after that, he was probably like, fuck this, man. I'd rather go back and write and not deal with any of this bullshit. And I get it, man. I don't have the answer because I haven't seen him in years, but that's my guess. Having directed movies, produced them, written them, and starred in them at this point, like, I feel like I've done everything you could possibly do on a movie set, and the pressure behind directing is something much greater than anything else you'll have to deal with on an independent or a studio movie, and it's a lot, and a lot of people don't want to do it. Like, for me personally, I enjoy directing for the power of it I have in the edit, but it is not a must thing on my bucket list because it'll probably cause an early heart attack, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Now, that was another question I had for you, because you, one of the first movies that you were the star in, you actually wrote, and I forgot the name of it, but I remember it had Tara Reid in it. And
Yes, it was a movie called 7-10 Split.
7-10 Split, right.
Mhm.
Now, what was that like, where you sold the script and then you got cast as the lead on that? Like, how was that, like, how did that throw you off, or did it like help you get more prepared for the business?
So I knew I had always wanted to star in my own shit, right? Like, you audition for so many things that it's like, dude, I'm a comedian, and like the new guy, like I felt that I was a pretty decent actor. But let's face it, that could have been any good-looking dude in that movie, right? What I really wanted to do was be the funny guy in a movie, and do what I actually do, which is comedy, instead of like throwing midgets in trash cans and shit like that. But you know, I did a bunch of teen movies in a row, and it's great notoriety. It gets you very well prepared for the business and everything that encompasses. And but I knew that I wanted to write, produce, and eventually direct. So with that one, I was like, look, if I can write my own script and star in it and write my own ticket, I will have a better shot than waiting around for Judd Apatow to call me to be in his next movie. So it was always the intent to star in that movie. I had gotten offers just to buy it, but I wanted to star in it as well and start that chapter of my career versus trying to wait to get cast in, you know, Talladega Nights or something else that I wanted, you know, or movies that I had liked, right? But with that, I learned a lot, where that movie in particular was 4.5 years worth of meetings for me. I took 143 meetings for that. And then the last meeting I had taken, like after 4.5 years, I was exhausted. I got a call from my manager that was just like, hey man, meet me. You're going to meet this investor at this shitty breakfast place in the Valley. And I got there. It was this dumpy little diner. It only sat like 10 people. It was just me and him. And he slid a cocktail napkin across the table that just had 10 actresses' names written down on it. And he goes, look, I heard you've been having trouble with financing. If you can get any one of these 10 actresses, I can sell this movie around the world, and I'll finance this within 6 weeks. And you'll be shooting within 6 weeks.
Wow.
On that list was Tara Reid. And I was friends with Tara. I'd known Tara for years at that point. And she was like, hey, bro, I'm down. Like, and she did it for fucking nothing. Like, she did that movie for scale. I mean, it was nothing. Yeah. And like, at the time, it was a big deal. Tara was a big deal. She was just coming off of American Pie, the franchise. And, you know, it was before any public shit happened to her. And she did the movie. And sure enough, within 6 weeks, dude, we were shooting that.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I hope I have that same success, because I wrote a romantic comedy. It wasn't about bowling or whatever, but you know, I'm trying to meet a guy at Mel's who has a list of 10 actresses, and hopefully I could stalk them and beg them.
Yeah, you know, it's a different time though, like independent film wise, like people are having a really hard time financing them. And because the ultimate question is, where do you sell it to and where do you show it? Right. If it's a comedy, none of these film festivals match up to what we do, man. Like, there is no comedy portion at Sundance. There isn't one at South by Southwest. There isn't one at Tribeca or Cannes or any of that shit. So it's like, all right, cool. Well, where do I showcase this to get it sold, bought, and etc.? And it's pretty much down to Netflix. The only problem is Netflix is only paying like 50 grand these days for like an independent movie. And once it's on Netflix, nobody's going to go buy it on iTunes. So unless you can make a movie for under 50 grand, good luck. But Netflix wants to own their own content too. So it's like, they're not really keen on having independent films on that streaming platform.
Now, does that like discourage you in a way on like pursuing other projects, or like because I mean that's got to hit you in the gut a little, you know what I mean? It
does, man, and it changed my focus. And again, like with podcasting, you know, I started a media company about 2 years ago, and we own like 8 podcasts, and we're acquiring more.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I think that is the best way for comedians to get their voice out there at a level that you don't have to go out and get financing, that you can do it from anywhere you are, and may the best man win. And I genuinely believe that. Like, one of the the guys that I'm the biggest fan of in the world right now is a guy named Tim Dillon. And
I love Tim Dillon.
Same, man. And he's one dude. He does the show by himself. Doing a podcast by yourself without guests is really, really fucking hard, and is really fucking hard to be good at. And Tim Dillon is great at it, and he is destroying right now. And it's one dude on a shitty set with a guy who can barely look up things on a laptop next to him, and he is fucking hysterical, and it doesn't matter. Now, the problems with the films that you and I were just talking about, 10 years ago, I didn't have that outlet, whereas comics do now. So which is better or worse right now? I don't know the answer. If you're a film lover, you're probably disappointed at the way films are going now as a comedian. But if you're just a natural comic and you're funny as shit, dude, all day long, look at Tim Dillon, and you can realize that it is possible to get your voice out there and heard by millions just by one dude in a microphone, which is old school shit, the way it used to be back in the 70s, you know?
You know what a good role for Tim Dillon will be is like if they make a like Home Alone 45 years later, you know, he could be Macaulay Culkin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck, man. With everything Tim Dillon said, there's no goddamn way he's getting a movie. I can promise you that. No way, dude. Did you imagine? There's no way a studio head would be like, yeah, grab Tim Dillon, dude. Did you hear what he said about Wayfair and hiding kids in cabinets? There's no fucking way. Same with me. They're not putting me as a studio lead right now. Are you kidding me? Like all the shit that I've said.
Well, if I ever sell a movie, I would definitely cast you in a studio lead. I think you're hysterical, man.
I appreciate it. I do too. But you know, studios are looking at more than just acting now, and they're combing through social media accounts. And then publicists, man. If you have a publicist, there is a scrubber who goes and scrubs your social media for you if they feel that your content was too aggressive.
Oh yeah, that's happened to me once.
Yep.
I got in big trouble because I made a joke when the Linkin Park guy died, and I was trending, and it wasn't a joke about a suicide. It was more about the joke about the band breaking up. And I said, hey, does anyone want my Linkin Park tickets? I can't go. And my manager just like bitched me out. He's like, you gotta take that down. And like, by the time I tried, I was already trending. So everyone knew about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And once that happens to you, like that is happening to every actor and actress right now. So whatever you say is being scrutinized, they're watching, and it's like, you know, they want the safe PC shit so you can sell around the world. But I mean, when's the last time you saw like a great comedic film?
Ooh, I would say the last great comedic film I saw was the very first Hangover.
So, and how long ago was that? 10 years ago?
10 years ago, yeah.
Wow.
That's how fucked it's gotten. When you have to go back 10 years to find your favorite comedy,
yeah.
I mean, there just isn't a lot being made right now because of that reason.
Yeah. What was the last great comedy film you saw?
Shit. I would have to say maybe MacGruber.
Okay.
MacGruber, I'm huge on. TV-wise, though, they're making some great shit. Like, one of my best friends is in The Righteous Gemstones on HBO with Danny McBride.
Oh, okay.
That's dope as fuck. And then Vice Principals is dope as fuck as well with Danny McBride. But he's using the same cast and all those people, and like he's able to get away with murder, which is great. But I've kind of veered or leaned more on television for like comedic narrative shit right now.
Now, with this COVID stuff going on, I don't know if you believe in the virus or don't believe in the virus, but is it hurting like you doing auditions and stuff with the Zooms auditions? Like,
I don't audition.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't strike me as a Zoom auditioner.
No, and I haven't, knock on wood, I've been fortunate. Like when I started my production company in 2008, 2009, I've only auditioned for things that I wanted to. So I don't need any, like, I don't need a pilot. I don't need a fucking movie. I don't need any of that shit because I've paved my own way through podcasts, books, and the movies that I made through my production company that I don't need it. So if someone asks these days, it's got to be something I really want to do. Like the last audition I physically went on was Eastbound and Down, and I really wanted to do that show. Because I loved it. And it was a small character, but I loved the show, and that was it. And before, and that was shit, man, I think 2015. The one before that was a thing with Martin Lawrence, and I'm a huge Martin Lawrence fan. But I think those are the only 2 auditions that I could name in the last 10 years that I've wanted to go on. And again, man, I've been fortunate to be able to do that. Like, if you're a working actor, though, you can't fucking do that shit. You got to read for everything.
Yeah, that's true. So you're making the money through the podcasting and the comedy, which is the comic's dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and movies, man. I mean, look, I wrote, directed, and starred in a movie and produced in 2016 called Range 15. That was the #1 grossing independent movie of 2016. And, you know, me and all my friends owned all the rights to that. Like, so, you know, FDR American Badass I owned, like all this shit that I owned, I personally owned. So when they came out, I owned the films. You know, I think through my production company, we made 10 or 12 movies and then sold 5 or 6 pilots. And then shit, man, I've sold like 18 or 19 screenplays. Like I'm rewriting a movie for MGM right now.
Oh my God, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so those are all like paid gigs, and it's like, all right, cool. You know, it's ironically a teen comedy that I'm writing for them, but or rewriting for them. But yeah, man. So like on the writing front, like shit, you know, like I said, my last book was #1 in the world. So like things are great. I don't need the money for shit. It would be shitty for me to say otherwise. To be like, oh yeah, fuck. You know?
Alan had a question about your FDR thing. Alan, you want to ask him?
It's glad to have you on the show. You're an amazing guy. The concept of a president.
Thank you, by the way.
You're an amazing guy.
And I just leave it. I like to leave it super uncomfortable with uncomfortable sounds. Like, yes, I am an amazing guy, and you're correct.
But that whole, you know, the Lincoln thing with the vampires. I mean, I thought those were such great ideas in the monster genre. So when you came up with the idea for the FDR movie, what was the initial? Were you looking at that as an idea within the whole monster genre, and you said, you know what, this is a go. You know, let's get a president of the United States to fight. I mean, I thought that was totally cool, but that concept was just inspired by you like monster films, or you just said, hey, you know what, I can do this, and you know, what was in this?
Yeah. So for a while, man, I went on this fucking huge binge of like spoofing B movies from the 70s.
That's great.
So like there's FDR American Badass, there's Pool Boy Drowning Out the Fury, Helen Keller versus Night Wolves. And they're all kind of written like Airplane, and like you're leaving, like I was leaving like cameramen in the shot, boom mics in the shot, like on purpose, things like that. Like I love that genre of those shitty 70s movies. So I made like 4 or 5 in a row that were really funny. And with FDR in particular, it was FDR, I think he was fighting like the mafia or something at the time. And I went to some financiers, and they were like, hey man, I don't know that we can finance this, but if you give it like a horror element to it, it would be great. And I was like, awesome, man. What about werewolves? And they were like, yeah, how would you do that? And I was like, well, what if we made the axis of evil of like Hitler, Hirohito, and Mussolini werewolves? Like, I'm sure that would satisfy your financiers. And they were like, yep, that'll do it. And they wrote me a check, and it was like, great. And then I figured out a way to reverse engineer it to make it cheesy and over the top and funny, and like, it takes place in the 40s, obviously, but there's like, if you look closely at the hospital, like there's glass doors that are closing, and you're like, dude, that's not a thing. Like that didn't exist back then. I intentionally made the werewolves look shitty. Like, right. Like little things like that. So you could know when you watched it that you were spoofing a genre. But it allowed me to make snappy dialogue for the characters along the lines of Airplane. And then what I did was I hired a bunch of dramatic actors to act it out because that enhanced the comedy more. So what you were seeing was like shitty set pieces.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ross, you just moved to Austin. How's that going? Is the scene, like comedy scene, going pretty good there?
Oh man, are you kidding?
No, I'm dead serious.
They just closed down the comedy club last night.
What?
Yeah, man, it's gone.
Fuck.
So Rogan moved here, and there's a rumor that he's going to open up like a ranch, kind of like Chappelle's doing right now. But you know, COVID nuked it, man. Like it's when you can't open up your business for 6 months and you still have to pay the lease on that building. It's what a lot of people don't understand is like that lease doesn't go away. They just couldn't afford it anymore, and they literally just closed. So that huge club that has been iconic here for years just closed last night.
Wow.
Yeah, and look, I stopped doing stand-up a very long time ago, and I'll leave it to the people that are diehards who are in and out, you know, at it every night. Like look, Rogan's a diehard. That's why he's so great. But it's sad, man, and it's going to happen around the country. If these places don't open back up, it's going to fuck all these small businesses, comedy included.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I co-book a comedy club in Huntington Beach, and we're barely, like, we're supposed to open in October, but I don't think we will. And I think if we push back any later, I think we'll go out of business, you know?
Yeah, and so that's what everybody's faced with. And like, you know, you're bumping up against that month right now, and that's what happened to Austin. So I'm not sure. You know, out of all of this shit, though, somebody will open up a new one, and it'll be inevitable. But I miss the old spots, man. I mean, it would be like if the Comedy Store closed in Hollywood. You'd be like, shit, that's...
Were you a big fan of the Comedy Store in Hollywood?
I was, man. Both, the Laugh Factory and the Comedy Store. They were both iconic, and like I would say, you know, as far as nostalgia goes, the Comedy Store more so. I just felt that it was more intimate, like the environment and everything. But I was, a huge fan of that, man. And you know, they haven't been open for a very long time.
All right. Well, hey, Ross, we only have 5 minutes left, and I wanted to read these Twitter questions we had for you. Do you like?
Sure, go ahead.
Do you like Twitter questions?
Twitter's a hellhole that is like a necessary evil, but it only spews hatred. But I'm down for any question across the board. I don't give a shit. Fire away.
Okay, Ross, is there any chance that you're going to be doing a comedy Netflix film?
Potentially. I would love for the book series that I'm on now. The new one comes out at Thanksgiving. Like, people have asked if that's going to be made into a TV series a lot or a movie. The hope is yes, but it depends on how PC they want it. Like, I'm not willing to give on certain aspects, but we'll see. So I would say yes. As far as a stand-up Netflix, though, no. I am not in comedy shape stand-up wise to do a great 1 hour. And if it's not going to be great, I won't even consider it.
This is my question, not a Twitter question, but is there any, like, do you want to get back into doing comedy? Because I think you could do that 1 hour, you know?
I could. However, I think going live, because look, Drinking Bros is 6 days a week. Ross Patterson Revolution is 4 days a week. I mean, I'm live every day for essentially 3 hours at this point. So I feel, you know, because Drinking Bros is 9 million listeners. Ross Patterson Revolution is 1.8 million. I can't reach that amount of people inside a comedy club anymore, whereas I can do it through podcasts. So it would be a disservice to stand-up comedy if I just went back in and took a fucking deal. Because I've had agents call me and just be like, hey, man, Netflix will pay you X just to come do a comedy special because of how big your podcast following is. And I was like, man, it'd be shitty. And like, I respect the craft that much that I don't want to do it. There's some other comedians that have taken the money, and I'm sure you know who they are, but I'm just not going to do it unless I can be great at it.
Oh, well, I as a friend and a fan to comedy, I think you would be great, but I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. And look, maybe someday I'll never rule it out, but right now it would be too difficult managing this many shows through the media network.
This one's from XWolf421. Ross, who's the best on-screen kiss you've ever had?
Dominique Swain, who played Lolita.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm married. I probably shouldn't be saying that shit, but whatever, man. She was. She went for it on every take, man. There was a movie called Stuntman, and she played my wife in that. She was great. Yeah.
Was that the most unusual question you've ever had?
No, not even close. But I think it's the most unusual answer because I had to think about it. Where I was like, shit, I've done close to 30 movies. Some are so bad that they're not even on IMDb, for Christ's sakes. They never even came out. So, yeah, I had to really dig back, and I was like, man, who was the best? It was Dominique Swain. She wins that one.
All right. This is the last question that we have. Ross, did Eddie Griffin intimidate you on the set of The New Guy?
No, he was the fucking best, man. And his hotel room was next to mine on The New Guy. And ironically, we shot it in Austin, Texas. And him and I used to go out and burn it down every night, man. Eddie fucking parties. But I have not seen him in many years. But dude, that guy fucking raged, dude.
Yeah,
and he's nonstop. The energy that he has on his stand-up, like that's how he is in real life.
Yeah, I met him when he had his show at the Rio in Vegas, and the guy did almost 4 hours, man. Like, it was just incredible.
Yeah, he'll go and go and go, man. I heard he's kind of an asshole now, but I haven't talked to him in a while. I know he had an incident where he pissed on the audience at the Laugh Factory, but who knows? I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I know, but that's a way to make it, to trend, back then.
I guess pulling out your dick and pissing on people, it goes one way or the other. You can go the Eddie Griffin route or the fucking R. Kelly route, and
that's true.
You be the judge of who you want to piss on.
Well, Ross, where can the folks at home follow you and support you? Twitter, Instagram?
I don't give a shit about Twitter. You can go on Twitter and tell me to go fuck myself if you want, and I'll answer. But I like Instagram because it's pictures and it's a lot less like political shit, whereas Facebook is political. But truthfully, man, you can just follow my podcast every day, like Drinking Bros podcast, and Ross Patterson Revolution is the best avenue, and then. Instagram, it's Ross Patterson is verified, and I think it's at STJames. STJames is my username, which is a character in one of my movies.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing it, man, and I'm glad that you didn't ruin my career.
No, but because we have a couple minutes left on this thing, because Zoom gives you like a time limit now, which is super fucking rad. When you hit me up, I thought you were like, hey man, I'd love to come on Drinking Bros. And I was like, don't do it, man. You're gonna there'll be a Holocaust joke in like the first 5 minutes. Like your career will be over. You're a young dude, man. Like you don't want to get involved with people like us like that. Yeah. Don't do it. But then when you were like, hey, come on my show, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll come on your show. I wouldn't come on Drinking Bros if I were you. Look at yesterday's. We had a Medal of Honor recipient and a fat dude who wrote big comes on his stomach, dude. Shirtless. So
was it
You're
Tim
welcome.
Dillon?
No, it was an actor named Jack Mandeville. It was really fucking funny.
Well, Roz, man, thanks. It was awesome talking to you, and I'm glad we finally got you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Thanks for having me, guys, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's do it again when this whole thing comes out. We'll go out when you're in LA.
For sure, man. And we can do this on camera too one day. So yeah, it'd be great.
All right, Ross, have a good day, buddy.
Take care, you guys.
All right. That was Ross Patterson, guys. Man, as Alan Lee would say, what a hoot.
It was. I saw it coming.
It's all coming.
I can predict a party.
Oh, man. Well, we got 30 seconds. We got to go. But, Alan, I'm going to call you right when this ends.
You better do that.
All right, guys. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review. Reza Riffs. Follow us. And
like us.
And like us.
Patreon. You can throw money at us.
Throw money. Exactly. We love money. Got to go.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.